Hey there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, anything I say is alleged and in my very, very personal opinion. This is for entertainment purposes only. None of this is personal. The Copyright Act of 1976 is in the description box. Some meat and potatoes, some housekeeping items. It is free to follow me. Free to follow me on this channel, Anonymous Tea. Free to follow me on my other channel, Anonymous Tea Podcast. There is new content over there. Follow me on the Tickety Talk at Anonymous Tea Podcast. Free to follow me on the Instagram. On the Instagram, he's at Anonymous Reality Tea. Free to share everywhere. Free to like the video so it gets out to the algorithm. Free to share with your family, your friends, and your foes, and coming or going, hit the like button. So today we're talking Real Housewives of Atlanta, because Kandi has entered the chat regarding the Porsha and Shamea friendship, and you knew she was going to. But here's my thing, because we're going to play the clip of what Kandi had to say. If you are truly in between two friendships and everything else, I feel like you should be a neutral party, right? However, every time Kandi has talked about this, she's always talking about me and Shamea have talked about this, and this is why I believe you said this as well, Kandi, that Porsha said that your friendship with Shamea is uncomfortable. See, this is what I'm saying. Shamea is confiding in you, Kandi, and not confiding in Porsha. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought with how Shamea and Kandi have moved that they were the childhood friends and Porsha was the new friend that Shamea had made. Like, I'm not even kidding. Shamea treats Kandi like how I thought she would treat her friendship with Porsha. Let me say that again. Shamea treats Kandi and holds her to a certain standard, to a certain pedestal and everything else that I thought she would cherish her childhood friendship with Porsha. And I feel like that is an issue. And then it's messy because the Kandi Coded Clique does not like Porsha. They don't see it for Porsha. So they're always throwing digs at Porsha and throwing shade at Porsha. So it's a mess. And then, of course, Jamie, who is a former friend of Porsha, who Porsha allegedly beat up in that alley, works with Kandi. You see what I'm saying? So it's just... And then Kandi wasn't even liking Porsha's posts until today. Until today. So it's like they have this, like... I just don't be understanding, man. But we're going to take a listen now. I just wanted to set some things up for y'all so y'all know what y'all getting into. That this whole situation is very, very messy. But I find the advice that Kandi is giving Shamea very ironic, considering she once had a real friendship with Phaedra before things escalated to RAPE Gate Season 9. And I think before things escalated to that point, y'all could have resolved y'all issues. But that's another story for another day. So let's take a listen to what Kandi has to say as it pertains to the Shamea and Porsha friendship.
And I told Shamea a few things. One, I told her she really don't need that show. If she don't want to go back, she does not have to go back. And, it'll be just fine. You know what I mean? She can live her best life. She has a wonderful marriage and wonderful family. You know what I mean? But I said if she chooses to go back, then definitely don't hold back on her feelings. I don't really think that she lied. I feel like, okay, first of all, this is not me picking sides between the two. Okay?
It is.
I feel like there were issues in the friendship prior, and I feel like Shamea should have said something before instead of just acting like everything was okay. You know what I mean? And I feel like sometimes when things aren't okay, it's okay for you to have an attitude about it. It's okay for you to just, I'm not feeling this. You know what I mean? And just stand on it. I feel like just trying to be passive about things, it allowed it to come back later like, oh, you weren't tripping all this time, but now you want to trip. No, really, it's been bothering her the whole time, and she should have just said that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I feel like the show itself is going to make it hard for the two of them to fix any friendship because, that's the thing. When you're on TV and you real friends with somebody and y'all have a back and forth, typically in real life, you can have your back and forth and then I don't talk to you, you don't talk to me, and then eventually we might get over it and start back talking. But it's not allowed to happen when you're on television together. When we fall out, then they're going to make us keep bringing it back up. Everybody get to have an opinion about it. It's got to go viral. It's about to be a mess. So that's why I say it can, in my mind, probably get worse going into the next season. So either she just needs to address how she feels and be fully transparent, or no.
Candaburus. Where do I start? Here's the thing. Kandi's business acumen and Kandi finding ways to reinvent herself, one of the best housewives to utilize the platform to really launch other business opportunities, acting opportunities, now into plays, now on Broadway, all of these ventures that have come from her exposure of being on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Kandi gets her 10s for that. Can't take anything away from that, right? However, this Porsha and Shamea situation is messier than mess. It is messier than mess. And the root of the issue, Kandi, is Porsha's mom and Shamea's mom have beef, which is already a recipe for disaster, because if your moms done fell out and your moms were the true besties in all this, there is always going to be slick comments and enabling taking place by these other mamas saying, I wouldn't trust her if I were you. I wouldn't be feeling this without you. So that is always going to be underlying tension unless the mamas sort out their issues, right? That's issue number one. Issue number two, you guys, is now all of a sudden that Shamea has been getting dragged all up and through this internet because her reunion performance was an epic fail, an epic disaster, and everything else. Now all of a sudden Kandi wants to give Shamea the advice that, if she wants to quit the show, she can. If she doesn't want to come back, she doesn't have to, because she has an amazing marriage and she has an amazing life. But what about the last 8 or 9 years of her marriage? Wasn't it amazing already? But no, you made it a point to brag that you fought for Shamea to get her peach, I guess as a dig to Porsha. Shamea talked about how all these seasons she wanted to be a peach holder on this show. Shamea was the one who wanted the fame and wanted the fortune and wanted the clout and the notoriety that comes with Real Housewives of Atlanta. But just because you're on Real Housewives of Atlanta, it doesn't mean that you're the it girl. It doesn't mean that you're the chosen one. It doesn't mean that you can handle the pressure and what it takes to be a peach holder. There's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. But the one thing Kandi said is Shamea's going to have to air everything out if she does come back. She is going to have to be more vocal. She can't hold stuff in. She can't hold a grudge. I found it interesting that Kandi said that Shamea can have an attitude if she feels a certain way about it. But my thing is, the issue that Porsha has is if you allegedly talk things out with Porsha with all these issues, how are you going to say that it is okay for Shamea to still have an attitude if she still feels a certain type of way? That's holding a grudge. If you and I talk out an issue and you say that the issue is resolved and we can move forward as friends, and I can be at your kid's birthday party, and I can be in your wedding and everything else, and we're all Gucci, why am I hearing now that for the past 10 years, you really still had an issue this whole time? And that is the piece that Porsha was talking about at the reunion, Kandi. Shamea's confiding all this stuff in you and every Tom, Dick, and Harry about how she's still mad at Porsha. And Porsha has no idea. Porsha is thinking her and Shamea are good. This is her first season as a peach holder. They can do the whole besties thing, except for she has to come into this, hearing from other housewives that Shamea is talking crazy about Porsha behind Porsha's back. And then that is when Porsha decided to distance herself, because now we're at the point where you're doing press for the show, and now all of this stuff is magnified because Shamea is talking crazy about Porsha in interviews. And Kandi is right. In real life, you'd either not speak to each other for a while, or you would resolve your issues on your own and move forward. However, the show is going to continue to force the interactions, right? And now you've got the other cast members involved. Now the cast members see the crack, and they also see how vulnerable Shamea is, and they're about to pounce. They are about to pounce up on that thing if Shamea comes back next season, because they understood. Angela Oakley had the discernment with the whole Charles Oakley, I could sleep with Charles Oakley, whatever else, or I would F Charles Oakley. She had the discernment that it was better to make up with Porsha than it was Shamea, because Shamea is too unpredictable. She is too two-faced. She is doing all of these things. And it's interesting that Kandi doesn't find Shamea to be a liar. And I found that very interesting, because there were several lies that Shamea was caught in. And again, I think Shamea was following Kandi's advice that if there was private conversations that happened with the other housewives off camera, you can't use that against me on camera. So therefore, Shamea didn't lie. No. Because if they see an opening and they see that there's already cracks in the friendship to begin with, that is something that they can use against Shamea. Especially if Shamea is not going to own it on camera. That is a lie. Because you're not pinky swearing with somebody about your frustration with your friendship with Porsha if there's no problems at all. Why would you need to pinky swear with somebody with new housewives you're just getting to know over a 20, 30-year friendship? Make it make sense. None of that would have happened. If you did not give Angela or Drew Sidora, Shamea, anything to utilize against you regarding this friendship with Porsha, this would be a non-factor. This would be a non-starter. This would be a non-conversation, but you gave them enough so that they could use that against you. And instead of you owning that, you wanted to play blame game. And you wanted to say that they twisted your words. No. How could they twist something if you were being messy yourself? You can't trust everybody. You can't say that everybody's your best friend. Anybody that says that they're everybody's best friend is very suspect to me, because it's not realistic. There is always somebody who is messy in the bunch. There is always somebody who doesn't like you like that in the bunch. That is why you have to keep your real friends, your real besties, you have to keep that circle small. And as you get older and older and older, you have less close friends. That's just the nature of the beast. But I don't know how I feel about Kandi's advice, because I feel like one or two things are going to happen, right? Either Shamea is going to take the advice that I better save my family, and I better save my marriage, and I better save my mama, and not come back to this show, even though this is the show that she is begged to be on the moment that she saw Porsha up on here, and decided to reconcile their friendship. Or Shamea thinks that she can turn things around next season, and it could be an epic disaster. It could be a bigger disaster than what she even imagined, that things could get a whole lot worse for her. I don't think Shamea realizes what's about to happen for her if she comes back. Because she's going to think that she can be able to handle this and get buck with everybody, but I don't think this is going to be a good look for her. This is not who she is. This is not how she moves. She likes being up under the likes of Kandi. She likes being up under the likes of Porsha. She doesn't like being the alpha female, the one that is the centerpiece, the head in charge and all of this and all that. She can't handle that. She is too sensitive for that. She is too emotional for that. So how is this going to work out for her? Make it make sense. So there's that. That is it. That is all for this video. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.